Okay, year one. So I have made myself a selection of painted papers that I'm going to use in my collage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base of my piece of paper. I'm going to stick all my collage work on top of this piece of paper. And one of the very important things about this work is that instead of drawing onto the pieces of paper and then cutting out the shapes, we're not going to do that. Matisse, he painted with scissors, so instead of drawing with pens first, he drew with the scissors, okay? And that's what we're going to do. So I think first of all, I'm going to take my yellow piece of paper and I'm going to make some geometric shapes. Now, if you remember, geometric shapes are shapes that we learn about in school. They're the shapes like squares, rectangles, circles, all those shapes that have a special name. Okay, so I'm going to cut myself a square using my yellow paper. And then on top of that, I'm going to have a go at making a circle. Now, when you cut a circle, it can be tricky to make the shape, but it doesn't matter if it's an exact circle or not. Just have a go at moving, turning the paper to create a rough circle shape. And what I'm going to do, I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to place that circle on top of the square. Where shall I position it? I think I'd like to put it here. Now, if you notice, I'm not sticking down any of my shapes yet. I'm just leaving them and thinking about where I want to position them. I'm now going to make a long, thin rectangle, I think. So here I go. It's up to you to experiment with the different shapes you make. And I think I'm going to put my long, thin rectangle through the middle of my shapes there, okay? Now, I'm going to have a go at making some organic shapes. Now, we said that organic shapes are shapes that come from your imagination. They don't have a special name. They may be all sorts of different shapes and sizes, but they just come from your imagination. So I'm going to start by making a zigzag organic shape. I'm going to move my hand right up the paper like this to make a zigzag shape. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Yes, I like that shape, and I think this could go across my page like that. Okay, now I really like the spiral shapes. So to make a spiral, I'm going to cut out what looks like a circle, but then instead of going right back to the point where I started, I'm going to move in. And I'm going to start cutting inwards around the centre of the spiral. And as I do this, the piece of paper comes swirling off like that to make a spiral shape. Now, if I just stick it down like that, you can't see that spiral shape. So what I'm going to do is just cut around the edges a little bit so I can see all the parts in between the spiral. Okay, and let me just cut a little bit more. And I think I'd quite like my spiral not to sit flat on the paper. I'm going to see if I can make it spread out a little bit like this, and to have it so not every part of the spiral is touching the paper. Okay, right, what else shall I make? Maybe I'll make now Matisse was very good at making sort of leaf shapes. And he made them by bending his scissors backwards and forwards and moving out with his scissors. So I'm going to have a go at doing my own leaf shape like that. And then coming around and doing the other side. Try out as many different ways of using your scissors as you can, Year 1. And remember that when you use your scissors, the hand holding the scissors doesn't move. That hand stays in one position. The thing that I'm moving as I'm cutting is my hand holding the paper. I'm moving the paper from side to side to make it easier to cut. Okay, right. I'm going to, maybe I would later on add a few more shapes, but just so you get the idea, I think that's how I'm going to leave my collage. Once I've got everything I want in place, you need to start gluing down your shapes. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to glue, don't need to glue all over the shape, just around the edge and stick it into position. Then I'm going to do the same for the square on top. And then my rectangle, my circle on top, sorry, and then my rectangle. There we go. Okay, you may need to hold it down so it sticks well, okay? And then I'm going to glue all the other parts of my mosaic down. Here we are. And I said that I didn't want to glue down all of my spiral, so I'm just going to glue down the first part of it, stick that down, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue down the middle part of it, and hopefully then I can get my spiral to be a little bit 3D, which means it's not flat, just like that, okay? I can then glue down all the other parts of my collage, and then you might find you have spaces that you want to fill and add some more collage painted paper. It's up to you to experiment, Year 1. I want you to have as much fun using different shapes, cutting out different pieces, and you can have a look on the sheet that I will put on the Firefly page, which gives you some examples of shapes you might want to try. So, 2 parts to the lesson today. Make your painted paper, and then you can start making your collage. And I can't wait to see the results of your work, Year 1. So please send it to me on Firefly. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.